In the Kapoor family's luxurious home, Rahul and Priya were found dead in a pool of blood. Before that, the nanny Sanvi also died under mysterious circumstances. The complicated relationships between them, from a broken marriage, a crazy wife, a husband full of lust for the nanny, weave a chain of tragedies. Were their deaths just an accident, or was there a hidden evil plot? The dark secrets in that house have yet to be revealed. In the posh South Delhi neighborhood, the Kapoor family mansion shines as a symbol of wealth and success. Rahul Kapoor, a talented architect, and his wife, Priya Kapoor, who owns a famous fashion brand, are known as the perfect couple. Anaya, their 7-year-old daughter, is the crystallization of love and happiness. The Kapoor family is admired not only for their successful careers but also for their flawless appearance. Anyone who looks at the Kapoor family thinks they have it all. From lavish parties to foreign trips, this family exudes an affluence that few have. The affection between Rahul and Priya seems to have never faded. Every morning they have breakfast together, chatting and laughing with Anaya. Everything seems to be running smoothly and perfectly to outsiders. But behind the glitz there is something that few people know. The Kapoor family is suffering from a pain that never goes away. Before Anaya was born, Rahul and Priya had a son, Arav, but he passed away in an unexpected accident when he was only 5 years old. Although they tried to overcome this pain to continue living, Arav's image still exists in every corner of the house, in the hearts of Rahul and Priya. Long nights the couple often cannot sleep, haunted by the memory of their lost child. Despite her smiling appearance, Priya is often immersed in a pain that she never shows to others. The house, although perfect in every way, still has a quiet darkness covering it. It is in this context that Sanvi, the new nanny, appears. This young girl is hired to take care of Anaya, but behind her trustworthy appearance she has ambitions that no one expected. Sanvi grew up in a poor family in a small village in India. Since childhood she has dreamed of a life of wealth and power, like the people she often saw on television. When she saw the opulence of the Kapoor family, that desire turned into jealousy and the ambition to take everything that Priya had. Sanvi was immediately impressed by the wealth and lavish lifestyle of the Kapoor family. She looked at the mansion with longing eyes, feeling jealous of everything that Rahul and Priya had. From the first day she entered this house, Sanvi had a feeling that her life should be like Priya's, rich, powerful, and loved. Sanvi didn't just want to be a nanny, she wanted more. She wanted to step into the life that Priya had, to take over the happiness of this family. Rahul and Priya both did not realize anything different about the young nanny. At first, Sanvi appeared to be devoted and attentive to Anaya. She often played with and taught Anaya as if she were her own child. But deep down, Sanvi always looked at Priya with jealous eyes. Sanvi could not bear to see Priya having the life she had always dreamed of. Every time she saw Rahul and Priya holding hands, laughing together, the jealousy in Sanvi's heart flared up like a burning fire. And from here, her dark plan began to blossom. Sanvi has decided that she is more than just a nanny. She will destroy the Kapoor family, take everything Priya has. She realizes that behind the Kapoor family's perfect facade, there is a hidden pain, the pain of Arav, the lost child. Sanvi knows that she can use this to gradually win Rahul's heart and push Priya to an irreversible collapse. Sanvi quickly becomes an integral part of the Kapoor household. She not only takes good care of Anaya, but also becomes familiar with every corner of Rahul and Priya's lives. Initially, Sanvi appears to be a devoted person, but as time goes by, she becomes more and more skillful in exploiting the weaknesses and fragility of this family. While no one is paying attention, Sanvi quietly rummages through every corner of the house, from Priya's bedroom to Rahul's desk. She wants to understand more about this family, from the smallest details like the perfume Priya wears to the way Rahul keeps his work notebook. Sanvi realizes that behind the perfection, the Kapoor family has deep cracks. Rahul feels that with each passing day, Priya becomes more and more distant. The pain of losing her child makes her withdraw into her own world, immersed in the memories of Arav. Every night, when Rahul wanted to talk, Priya would just stay silent or sit in front of pictures of her son, making Rahul feel abandoned and alone in his own home. Priya has long been deeply traumatized by the death of her son Arav, This obsession has left her with frequent insomnia and mental instability, and Sanvi knows this is her chance to act. Sanvi secretly rummages through Arav's mementos that the family has carefully hidden and secretly leaves them in places where Priya can easily see them. The Arav's old teddy bear appears on the dining table, and old photos of the boy quietly lie on Priya's desk. Seeing the traces of her lost child, Priya is immersed in grief, fear, and a sense of mental disorder. She cannot explain why these mementos suddenly appear, and even more so, she dares not tell Rahul for fear that he will think she is crazy. Loneliness and helplessness begin to take over Priya, causing her to become distant from everyone, especially her husband. As Priya grew more distant and out of control, Sanvi began to become more important to Rahul. The young nanny not only took care of the family but also made Rahul feel heard and understood, something he had long lacked in his married life. At first, everything happened naturally. Their conversation seemed harmless. But as time went on, Sanvi's presence brought Rahul a sense of comfort and closeness that was hard to explain. Every time Rahul returned home, after tiring hours of work, Sanvi was always there at the right time, with gentleness and thoughtfulness. She didn't need to say much, just small gestures, like a warm smile or a passing glance, were enough to stir up an unnamed feeling in Rahul's heart. Sanvi's discreet sexiness radiated from the way she moved gently, from the subtle attention she paid him, little by little creating an intense attraction. One evening, after returning home tired and confused, Rahul saw Sanvi quietly enter the living room where he was sitting. She asked him if he needed anything, in a soft but caring voice. When Rahul looked up, his eyes accidentally met her deep gaze, and that aroused in him the emotions that had been suppressed for so long. Sanvi did not need to do anything special. Her presence naturally evoked the charm in Rahul's eyes. In the quiet space of the room, Rahul could not deny the attraction that Sanvi brought. The deep desires in him began to surge, beyond the limits that he had always tried to suppress. At that moment, Rahul realized that he was being swept up in a feeling of intense desire that he had never experienced before. She didn't say anything more, just sat down quietly beside Rahul, her hand gently placed on his shoulder as a comfort. Her breath was soft on his neck, and before he knew it, Sanvi had moved a step further, her hand sliding down his arm. The feeling of the touch was not accidental. Rahul felt something stronger growing between them, but he didn't have the strength to stop it. In a moment of weakness, Sanvi had taken over Rahul's mind and desires. That night, the line between right and wrong was broken. Rahul, tired and emotionally confused, could not resist Sanvi's charm. They had crossed the line, and from here on, things would never be the same again. Sanvi, with her gentle and hard-working appearance, now had control over Rahul in a way that Priya could never do again. After that night, every time he saw Priya, a wave of guilt surged through Rahul. He blamed himself for betraying the wife who had helped him through the pain of losing his child. But at the same time, the desire and infatuation from Sanvi made it impossible for him to leave. Rahul was torn between his family responsibilities and his physical desires. But Priya did not expect that behind her husband's coldness was a fierce betrayal. She felt the change in the way Rahul treated her, but did not know the deep cause. One evening when Priya tried to talk to her husband about the chaotic emotions in her heart, Rahul just quietly avoided her. He no longer gave her the attention he used to. Priya began to suspect, but she did not know that the truth was more cruel than she imagined. The next night, Priya woke up in the middle of the night, looking for Rahul. When she went downstairs, she accidentally saw a heartbreaking scene. Rahul and Saanvi sitting close to each other on the sofa, in the dim space of soft lights, with an intimacy that Priya could not accept. Her heart was broken, but Priya could not react immediately. She stood still, silently looking at the image of her husband close to the nanny, and knew that she had been betrayed. While Priya was in pain, Sanvi knew that she had succeeded in a major step in her plan. She had not only made Rahul fall, but also broken the trust and affection between the couple. Priya was now just a pale shadow in the house she once owned, while Sanvi was gradually taking over not only Rahul's heart, but also his life. In the luxurious mansion, Sanvi is no longer the gentle and devoted nanny. She has successfully taken over Rahul's mind, pushing Priya into the darkness of losing control. Sanvi feels like a queen, controlling everything with an iron fist without anyone realizing it. She becomes a silent ghost, gradually destroying the Kapoor family from within. To achieve her goal, Sanvi secretly mixed hallucinogenic drugs into Priya's drink, wanting to turn this strong woman into a shadow of herself. At first, Priya just felt tired, unable to explain the tension and instability in her mind. Priya began to hallucinate. Every night she heard Arav's faint call, the sound of small footsteps echoing throughout the house. She would often wake up in the middle of the night, feeling someone standing by her bed staring at her. Then when she turned on the light, the room was empty, but the feeling of unease did not go away. But then, everything began to change rapidly. The nightmares came more frequently. Hallucinations of Arav, her dead son, appeared in her mind, making it impossible for her to distinguish between reality and fantasy. Arav's shadow appeared in every corner of the house, from the teddy bear placed on the bed to the laughter echoing through the hallway. Sanvi witnessed Priya's decline with an arrogant smile. To her, Priya was now just a puppet in her hands. She quietly increased the dose of medication a little more each day to ensure that Priya would completely lose control. Priya's panic attacks became more frequent. Every night she was haunted by haunting images. Panic screams rang out in the middle of the night as Priya saw her son's shadow pulling her towards the window, out into the endless void. She tried to run away from the hallucinations, but she could not escape her own mind. Rahul, the loving husband that Priya once trusted, now sees his wife as a crazy ghost. He no longer recognizes her. The woman he once loved has become a broken person, unable to take care of herself. Sanvi's presence by Rahul's side only makes the situation worse. Every time Rahul approaches Priya, Sanvi appears as a savior, gently comforting him, making him believe that everything will be fine if Priya gets treatment. Priya's madness reaches its peak when she begins to lose her memory. She wonders if she really lives in this house, or if everything is just a long nightmare. Sanvi watches from afar, clearly sensing Priya's disintegration. She starts to pretend to care, but in reality, it is to make Priya more insecure. She gives Rahul advice that Priya has crossed the limits of sanity and needs immediate treatment. Finally, with Sanvi's persuasion, Priya is committed to a mental hospital. In Rahul's eyes, it is the only option to keep the family safe, but he has no idea that Sanvi herself has created this situation. Sanvi has achieved her goal, to eliminate Priya, the woman who used to own this house. Now the house belongs to her completely. When Priya leaves, Sanvi feels like she has won completely. She starts changing everything in the house to her liking, from the decoration to deciding what happens each day. She calmly walks into Priya's bedroom, a place she used to only dare to stay outside. Sanvi replaces all traces of Priya with things that belong to her, personal belongings, perfume, even the clothes that her former owner wore, which she now wears with confidence. Rahul, in his infatuation, did not notice the change. He was drawn into Sanvi's embrace, believing that his life had become easier after Priya left. Sanvi had not only taken over the house, but also Rahul with her deadly charm. Their nights became wild, filled with passion and desire that Priya could never provide. But just a few weeks after Priya was taken away, tragedy struck unexpectedly. Sanvi was found dead in the house she had made her own. Her death was unexpected, and the scene at that time was mysterious and horrifying. Rahul discovered her body lying at the bottom of the stairs, her body lifeless, her face filled with utter fear. Everything happened so fast, and no one could understand why someone like Sanvi could fall to her death in such a senseless way. Sanvi's death was quickly ruled an accident by the police. She was believed to have fallen down the stairs at work. Rahul, in pain and confusion, could not understand why the woman he had just loved had suddenly passed away. But even with the case closed, there was something inexplicable, a darkness that hung over the house, as if the truth was being hidden by a terrible mystery. Rahul, after losing both Priya and Sanvi, began to sense an eerie presence in the house. Dark shadows lingered in the rooms, as if something was hidden within the thick walls. Strange sounds, soft footsteps, and sudden cold breezes blowing through the hallways made him feel as if something was watching him. The house, once a symbol of success and wealth, has now become a place filled with dark memories and unrevealed mysteries. Everyone around believes that Sanvi's death was just an accident, but it seems that only Rahul feels the abnormality. So what really happened in that house? And did Sanvi destroy herself because of her great ambition, or is there some force that has plunged her into eternal darkness? After Sanvi's death, Rahul's life seemed to have returned to peace. Priya is still in a mental hospital, and the Kapoor house is gradually becoming empty without the shadow of the ambitious nanny. But inside Rahul, the torment never disappears. Every corner, every room in the mansion evokes memories of betrayal and guilt. He knows that Sanvi's death was not simply an accident, but he does not want to face the truth. One stormy night, Rahul received a call from the mental hospital. The voice on the other end of the line announced that Priya had been allowed to go home. Her condition had improved significantly. Hearing this, Rahul could not believe his ears. Was she okay? Had she overcome everything? A feeling of anxiety and tension began to creep into his mind. When Priya returned, Rahul did not recognize the woman in front of him. Priya was no longer the weak, controlled wife she had been before. She had become calm, so calm that it was scary. In her eyes, he did not see the happiness of reunion, but only coldness, like a ghost just stepping out of the darkness. The following nights, Rahul began to realize that something was wrong. Priya did not mention Sanvi, did not ask about what happened when she was not home. She began to control everything in the house, from deciding every activity to controlling every little detail. Rahul, in his mental turmoil, gradually got caught up in a spiral of fear. She was no longer the Priya he knew. One stormy evening, the Kapoor household was filled with tension. Rahul sat across from Priya, a sense of emptiness and terror rising in his heart as the truth slowly emerged. After Sanvi's death, the dark truth that he had been trying to hide all this time began to be revealed. It was not just an accident. Priya, with glazed eyes and a quiet but haunting voice, told the whole truth that she had hidden for so long. She discovered Sanvi's plot when the nanny secretly slipped hallucinogenic drugs into her drink, causing her to gradually lose control of her mind and be sent to a mental hospital. Priya also realized that her husband was complicit with Sanvi. Rahul and Sanvi had not only a physical relationship, but Sanvi also took advantage of Priya's weakness to get closer to Rahul and gradually take over her life. But Priya did not give up. Before she was sent to the mental hospital, she had planned her revenge. She quietly changed Sanvi's asthma medication into a useless one, making it impossible for the nanny to use it when needed. That fateful night, when Sanvi had an asthma attack, she frantically searched for the medication. In desperation and unable to breathe, she slipped and fell down the stairs, her death coming to her in chaos and fear. Rahul, hearing this, felt a shiver run through his body. He realized that Sanvi's death was not an accidental accident as he had believed. Priya had secretly orchestrated it all, in silent and cruel revenge. Priya, calm on the outside but seething with rage, confesses that she planned to come clean when she got out of the mental hospital, about Rahul's affair with Sanvi, about Sanvi cheating on her, and about the betrayal she had suffered all this time. But things didn't go as planned. Sanvi's death came too quickly, and before she could reveal it all, everything had fallen into chaos. Rahul, now facing all the truth, felt a heavy sense of guilt in his chest. He knew he had fallen for Sanvi's charm. He knew that it was his negligence and ambition that had driven Priya into madness. Now that everything was exposed, Rahul had no way out. He looked into Priya's eyes, the eyes of a woman who had lost everything, and realized that he was the cause of this tragedy. The house, which had once been their home, had now become a battlefield of conflict. The sound of rain hitting the window seemed to mingle with screams and the sound of objects being broken. Priya, in her rage, seemed to have completely lost control. She picked up a nearby vase and smashed it hard on Rahul's head. Blood spurted out, but that did not stop her. With all her pent-up hatred, Priya continued to attack relentlessly, as if all her pain was being poured out on him. Finally, Rahul fell, his eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling, where the light from the chandelier reflected in his eyes. He realized that this was the fate he had brought upon himself. All his sins, all his mistakes had brought him here. Before losing consciousness, he only managed to mumble an apology, But it was too late. But the tragedy did not end there. When Priya looked down at Rahul's body, the satisfaction she had expected did not come. Instead, there was emptiness. She realized that nothing could ease the pain and resentment inside her. Priya had lost everything, her children, her life, and now herself. In that moment, Priya decided to end it all. She went into the kitchen, where Sanvi had previously mixed the drugs that had ruined her life. She took a sharp knife from the drawer and walked back to the living room, where Rahul lay motionless. She sat down next to him, tears streaming down her face but no sobs. With a single stab, Priya ended her life next to the man she had once loved, but now was nothing more than a traitor. The next morning, the police received a call from a neighbor reporting an eerily quiet house. When they entered, they found a horrifying scene, a husband and wife lying side by side in a pool of blood, a cold, cruel death. Once again, the house that had once been filled with happiness witnessed a terrible tragedy, but this time no one survived to tell the story. The Kapoor house, a symbol of love and success, is now a graveyard of broken dreams, of souls that will never rest in peace.